Hello everybody, you're listening to The Art Show on 106.6 FM of Wickham Sound. This is the weekly radio show where we chat about the local arts news. We have a different guest on each week. We head over to the Rhylight Zone for a short story and or some poetry. And we catch up with Twangling Jack Ford over in the Oak Shed for a weekly album review. As always, you can find us on Facebook. If you search for The Art Show on Wickham Sound, you should be able to find us. And we are repeated on Wickham Sound on Monday nights. We're on the Wickham Sound Listen Again, iTunes, Spotify and wherever else you get your podcasts. Please do leave us a short review on your podcast platform of choice. It all helps. You can also email me here at the studio on dane.cobain@wickhamsound.org.uk. That's dane.cobain@wickhamsound.org.uk. And I'm particularly keen to hear from poets, performers, musicians, people with MP3s they'd like to share, people who'd like to be guests on the show. And also, if you've got any news, do let me know, because we are starting a new part of the show as of today, where we're going to have announcements. So some of these will be repeated kind of week on week until they're no longer relevant. But yes, these are all just people send me stuff, send me your news, and I'll read it out. So let's get to the announcements. 60 years, one incredible challenge. Bob Yates runs the length of Britain for charity. Local handicrafts runner Bob Yates is celebrating his 60th year in a way most wouldn't dare, by running the entire length of Britain. Starting on May 31st, Bob will take on the legendary Land's End to John O'Groats challenge, covering 1,000 miles over 5 grueling weeks. But Bob isn't just running for the thrill, he's doing it to support Humanity Direct, a charity that provides life-changing medical care for underprivileged children worldwide. Every step he takes brings hope to children who desperately need it. Follow Bob's journey and support his incredible mission at humanitydirect.org/Bob. Let's cheer him on as he pushes his limits for an amazing cause. Alright, those were this week's announcements. We're going to go straight over to the Rhylight Zone for the latest and probably final instalment of a short story by myself, Dane Cobain, and I've forgotten what it's called, so bear with me. And that is Knock Montpellier. The 6 men looked around at one another, and Plunkett drew the metaphorical short straw and went to open the door. When he did so, the wind ripped through the room and blew out the candles, sending their cards scattering to the floor. The only light that remained came from the fireplace, where logs and coals were crackling merrily away and providing the room with enough heat to stop them from freezing. "Good evening, gentlemen," their visitor said. "I hope I'm not intruding." The man moved forward, and Plunkett stepped aside and then drew the door closed before pulling the heavy iron bolt across to secure it. In the meantime, Sir Patrick and Lord Leary were relighting the candles, first holding them into the fireplace and then using one blazing wick to light another. All 6 pairs of eyes turned to look at the newcomer, who was dressed in a fashionable suit and a stylish hat. His long locks of golden hair were clumped together from the rain, and his deep blue eyes looked out piercingly at the 6 men of the Hellfire Club. A faint smile played across his lips. Fitzgerald was the first man to regain his composure. "Not at all, my good man," he said. Come in. Sit by the fire a while. We'll make sure that you're fed and watered soon enough. Who do we have the pleasure of speaking to?" "My name is Charles McGuinness," the stranger said, "and I thank you for your hospitality. Please don't trouble yourself on my account. I need no food or wine, just a little shelter while we wait for the storm to pass. And perhaps you could deal me a hand in your game of poker." "How did you—" Fitzgerald began. Then he shrugged his shoulders. "Of course, please take a seat." His fellow card players finished relighting the candles, and the 7 men took up seats around the table. McGuinness produced a pipe from within the inner pocket of his suit, tapped it thoughtfully against the table, and then lit the tobacco inside with one of the candles. Fitzgerald finished dealing the next hand, and the game began. The 6 men of the Hellfire Club were relatively wealthy, especially for the time, but the stranger seemed to have deeper pockets than the rest of them combined. Before his arrival, they'd been playing for pittances, just whiling away the time. Afterwards, they found themselves playing for serious sums of money, more money, in fact, than any of them was carrying. "Now, I trust you gentlemen to your word," McGuinness said, as he won another hand. "I'll visit you soon enough to collect what you owe me." "That's if we don't win it back," Plunkett growled. He looked as though he wanted to withdraw a revolver and put a bullet in McGuinness's head. "Well, we'll see." "Damn it," Fitzgerald said, slamming his fist to the table and sending his cards scattering to the floor. "Gentlemen, please, let's save the arguments for after the game is over." Then he pushed his chair backwards, its wood screeching unpleasantly against the stone floor, and bent down to retrieve his cards. When he surfaced again, the colour had drained from his face. "Your feet," Fitzgerald said. "They're—" "Hooves," McGuinness replied. "Yes." He sighed and stood up, pushing himself back from the table. When he'd entered the room, there had been little light, and the card players had been looking at his face. This time, all 6 pairs of eyes turned to stare at his feet, which were just like the man had said. He had the cloven hooves of a beast, not the fleshy toes of a man. Alas, McGinnis said, I was hoping to keep my secret until the dawn. I'm not known for my love of the cold weather. In fact, I'm rather fond of the heat. What happened next is a matter of dispute. The facts show that only one of the 6 men, James Burke, survived the fire that ripped through the hunting lodge and burned it to ashes, leaving only the shell that still stands at the top of Montpellier. Burke was found wandering in the snow the following morning when a group of men from the town climbed the hill to investigate the thick smoke that had blown over from the hill and settled above the city. His clothes were singed and his flesh was burned, but the real damage had been done to the man's mind. He told his rescuers a bizarre tale about a mysterious man with cloven hooves, but when pressed to talk about the fire, his eyes filled with terror and his voice died in his throat. He was taken to St. Patrick's Hospital, where he lived out the rest of his days as a patient. He never fully recovered. As for the rescue party, it was just another day in Dublin. The fire was ruled as accidental, though that was far from what the gossip said. And as the rescuers chatted to their friends in the dingy pubs, they occasionally retold the tale that Burke had shared, adding one final disturbing detail. When they'd arrived at the Brass Castle, several of the men had spotted a set of hoofprints in the melting snow, leading away from the blazing building and towards the busy city. Okay, that was the latest instalment and indeed the final instalment of Knock Montpellier by myself, Dane Cobain, for this week's entry into the Rhylight Zone. You're listening to the Archer on 106.6 FM Wickham Sound. I'm your host, Dane Cobain, and this is Straight 8 with New Orleans.
Come on, everybody take a trip with me, yeah. Down the Mississippi, down to New Orleans. Honeysuckle growing on the honeysuckle vine now. Good love just oozing there all the time. Every southern man is a Mississippi queen. Down the Mississippi, down to New Orleans. Decent man of feet. Poetry the blossom is in the air. You ain't been to heaven if you ain't been there. Got bagels hanging from the big old tree. Down the Mississippi, down to New Orleans. Come on.
Yes. Give the kid something that dance to.
I've been on the same wave since I turned 19. Having spent my life forcing connections with people thinking that they know a lot but they knew nothing. Well, I think it's about time you start to shut up. I'm tired of hearing it. Why you always talk so much? Now you're full of it's time for you to shut up. You mother talking too much. You heard it here first. Yeah, shut the f*** up. You're all full of shit. Now get the f*** step down and wait about to break through. Carve out your face so I remember you. Dispose of the wastage. Your time's up, now face it. You're putting pride in your pay shift. I aspire to elevate my shit. I'm growing tired of these tools who sit there wishing I would lose it all.
That was No Diplomacy by Simbulis, and before that we had New Orleans by Straight 8. You're listening to The Art Show on 106.6 FM Wickham Sound. I'm your host, Dane Cobain, and it's time for us to be joined now by this week's guest, who are the guys from Simbulis. My first question you might not have an answer to, because I have my traditional opening question. We'll see how we get on with it. It's what was the last book that you read, and what did you think of it?
Whoa, who's reading?
That's a tough one for me.
You have put us on the spot.
Just listened to a new audiobook, Jungle, about a couple of guys that they split up from the group and find their own way back, and because they don't have a guide, it all just kind of goes wrong, and yeah, it's pretty cool. Bolivian Jungle, yeah, it's called Jungle.
That sounds awesome.
The rest of us are literate, I think.
Yeah, the last book I read was... I don't know if you're going to count these, but I read Slasher's autobiography.
Oh,
no, that's cool.
That was the last book I read. Just found... Because around the time I found that book, I learned that he was from Stoke. So I just found that really interesting. I wanted to learn about where he'd come from. So that was the last book I read.
I think he still supports one of the football clubs. I don't know if it's like Stoke City or Port Vale, but I'm pretty sure he supports one of the teams.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, investor in one of the teams. I think it's Stoke.
oh man.
Nice.
Yeah, which is pretty cool.
Ah.
Cool.
Last
So,
book,
mate, I was just talking about Harry Potter before this, but it's not the last book I read, but it's just infesting my mind. I'm going to have to blank. I'm sorry.
That's all right. Well, and so obviously I want to chat to you guys about the band today, and I wondered if we could get started, can you each introduce yourselves and let us know what you do in the band?
Yeah, so I'm Anoki, the vocalist. That's literally all I do, really. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm George. I'm the guitarist of the band.
And yeah, I'm Rob. I'm the drummer of the band.
Cool. And I've got to get this from like the horse's mouth, because I tried asking Rob this, and you kind of gave me like half an answer, but you weren't sure of the details. Where does the name Simbulis come from?
Do you want me to answer?
Yeah, go
okay.
for it, man.
So the name of the band comes from anagram. Acronym?
Yeah, it's like an anagram.
Anagram's the right word, isn't it? Anagram of a. We read this article. I don't know how we came across it. It was just an article we found of this exoplanet that was discovered, and yeah, the numbers and letters in that made a word, and yeah, we just came up with the word Simbulis and thought it sounded cool, and thought the origin of it was pretty cool, and that was it really.
Yeah, it's like it kind of reads as like, what is it, like 5M1 or something. It kind of spelled it Simbulis, but not really.
Some of the early content that we did on social media, I did actually include the actual name of the exoplanet, just like hidden in little parts of the content. And I think I'm going to put it on. I've not actually said this to these guys yet, but I'm actually going to put it in some of the merch, maybe on like a long sleeve design.
Oh, that's a cool idea.
Yeah, so like Simbulis on one side, and then like the name of the exoplanet on the other side. So then if anyone asks or whatever, it's like that's the reason.
It's really aesthetic as well because it's got like. It's hyphenated, so it would like go down really well on a long sleeve or something like that. It's a cool looking word.
So yeah, not much reason other than we just thought it was kind of cool. And we were stuck on a name. We wanted something. We was really obsessed with because we was at the time just really obsessed with the band North Lane, and they were putting out a record that had really cool names on the record, like the word, like aesthetically the word and the meaning of words just looked really cool, and we were just kind of fascinated by that. And we were just like, what a really cool name for the band name. Like something just dead obscure, dead ambiguous. Nothing that has really much meaning, but just looks cool. And we just happened to stumble across that, and I think it was just kind of meant to be. So we stuck with it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. And you guys have played a few live shows recently. So what can you tell us? How have those live shows been?
Awesome.
Really
cool.
Really good.
Yeah. Most recent one we played was in Cornwall, which is where I grew up, so it was like a really, really cool experience. I kind of the main reason I moved away from Cornwall was like the lack of like a heavy scene there, so it was just like mad to see. I think it was sold out. It was a sold out show in a town that's not known for heavy music. It's just wicked, like wicked atmosphere. And we've got another one. Well, by the time this is out, we'll have played it. We've got another one in Derby this weekend. I think it's like one of the big, propellers of the band is like our live.
I think it's like our selling point in it as the band. Like that's what I feel most confident in with this band is like the show that we can put on, the energy that we can portray, and the way we can deliver our music in a live setting.
Yeah,
I think. Is one thing I don't worry about with this band is the three of us performing live and being able to deliver our music in a entertaining and convincing way. Do you know what I mean? We managed to. I think we do our music justice in a live setting.
And talking of like live performances, what are some of your goals there? If you could pick some of your like dream shows to play over the next sort of 12 months or so, are there any sort of venues you'd love to play? Any festivals that you got your eyes on?
Oh, I've got two. I'll let these guys answer first, but yeah, cool.
I'm not gonna lie, we've hit them all. Like I said at the start of this year, that I want a few things. I wanted to play the Hairy Dog, because it's like the best heavy music venue in Derby. We're playing that this weekend. Well, by the time this is out, we'll have played that. I wanted to play a show out of town. We've done that, and I didn't even say, but I wanted to play a show in Cornwall, so we've like I've nailed them all. I've like maxed out the year already. Everything else is a bonus.
It's so mad how that happened. How it was so close to your hometown as well. We got the we had this goal to play the Hairy Dog, this venue in Derby, and also for him it was kind of a pipeline dream, really, like to play a show in Cornwall. Didn't even think like so close to his hometown, and we got offered both shows within the space of a week.
Yeah.
And it was like, what's happening here? Something's going on. Do you know what I mean? What? 2 goals ticked off in 1 week, and it was kind of crazy.
Yeah.
But sorry, I'm gonna steal your turn.
No, it's all right. Did you say what festivals and stuff you've got our eyes on?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Obviously, the big 2 dream goals would probably be Download and Bloodstock.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, I mean, any festival would be awesome, because I think, festivals have a good vibe. I like playing in the day as well, and the sort of tents, and I don't know, it's always a different sort of vibe to going into an indoor venue of an evening.
Do you feel like a festival is that sort of speciality of a show? A festival sort of extends that feeling. Because it's like, it's that sort of feeling that's usually crammed into a few hours, but it's spread across a whole day.
Yeah.
It kind of extends the enjoyment and excitement of a show across a whole day, and it feels, I don't know, it's really cool. Yeah. You can sort of escape into it for a bit, I think. My long-term goal, festival-wise, is Download. Will always be Download.
Yeah.
I won't rest until I play that festival. Yeah. And then a bit more of a shorter term goal is I want to play main stage of Rock City. I was saying to these guys the other day, I've been to a few shows at Rock City in the past couple of months. It's itching away at me. I need to play that stage. That's a big one for me.
You're listening to The Archer on 106.6 FM Wickham Sound. I'm your host, Dane Cobain. I'm here in conversation with Simbulis, and this is Simbulis with their new tune, Menticide.
Put the mic and very much hear how it's going to sound.
Roots begin to unravel, losing connection to the earth. Army of addicts chasing distraction, medicated so we don't wake up.
That was Menticide by Simbulis. You're listening to The Archer on 106.6 FM Wickham Sound. I'm your host, Dane Cobain. And it's time for us to be rejoined in conversation now by this week's guest, who are Simbulis.
Awesome. And in terms of your music, because you kind of take a wide variety of influences, I wonder, again, maybe if you take it in turns to share, who are some of the biggest musical influences, maybe obviously on the band as a whole, but also for you as individuals as well?
Go on, Rob. You go first, mate.
Oh, it's tricky. The early noughties new metal, I think, is what I listen to the most. The sort of Limp Bizkit, Korn, but then obviously that all bled out into there was a lot of bands of that was like, I don't know, a 5 to 10 year period, late 90s to sort of mid noughties. I think there was just a golden era for a lot of bands. And it's probably just because it was my adolescence, and it's those bands that have kind of stuck with me. But yeah, I think that era of music definitely is what's closest to my heart. Definitely.
Yeah, I think Rob's kind of hit like the main influence as a band as a whole, but obviously, yeah, we've all got like different musical backgrounds. Like I've loads of different styles of heavy music, like newer metal, new metal and newer metal today, definitely. But then also like hip hop, like electronic music, like indie band, like in terms of like lyricism, like bands like Counting Crows, Incubus, and Foals. Sort of more like lyrical based bands, just like, do you know what I mean? I just think we take everything and like, for me personally, suit it to each song, I guess. Hopefully there's a little bit of it in each song, I think, so we're not too like one dimensional, but as a whole, I think what Rob said is like where we're based at. That's like our anchor point.
Yeah
100%. I feel the same. Like obviously, the bands like Rob mentioned, that sort of golden era of like new metal, early noughties, like whatever you want to call it, rock, metal, whatever. Like Slipknot, Linkin Park, Korn, Deftones, whatever. Like they're all like, it opened up the world of heavy music, and that kind of that just raw energy that comes from that music that I don't think is replicated many other places. That is definitely the driving force for the band currently, and yeah, it is where we all find common ground, and you'll hear it all throughout the music for a while to come. But yeah, for me, starting out, it was always about, I could just remember so vividly the reason like I wanted to pick up a guitar and play live music, and yeah, it was just bands like Green Day really, and like Blink-182. And then Linkin Park soon after. It was just their energy on stage, man. It was like the energy they portrayed through their music and their energy on stage. It just resonated with me so heavy. And all I could think about after that point, seeing those bands, well, listening to them and then watching videos of them online, all I could think was like, man, I've got to do that. I've got to be on that stage. I've got to do what they're doing. Do you know what I mean? Like, I couldn't think of anything else that I wanted to do in my life. So yeah, that was really the starting point. And then, yeah, same as what these guys are saying, all the new metal bands, the early noughties bands, and definitely same as Anoki as well, a lot of hip-hop stuff. I mean, like the people I grew up with, a lot of them had no real ties to like the heavy sort of stuff, so I was kind of like the odd one out, and ended up teaching a lot of people, like my peers growing up, like teaching them a lot about like heavy music, but like their background was kind of hip-hop and R&B stuff, so definitely bigger influences from there as well. And I think the worlds of hip hop and new metal collide really well.
Definitely. So
yeah, hip hop is absolutely not off the table when it comes to Simbulis. And I'm excited to explore that a bit more, to be honest.
Definitely.
Because I think we've all got things on the back burner or bubbling away under the surface of like hip hop influenced stuff that we'd all like to experiment with. So yeah.
Cool. Well, and you know, you mentioned, or you guys hinted a bit about like some of the sort of the lyricism influences as well. But like, how do you write music? How do you come together to write songs?
Well, I'd say the project that we're on the cusp of releasing, it's mainly been George comes up with the initial idea, and then Rob works on it. And I'm sort of there throughout the process, and then I finish it off. As in, like, vocally, I'll put the vocals on. So normally, by the time the vocals are put on, it's the last thing to go on. That being said, like, we definitely want to explore writing in a more spontaneous way, because we're pretty good at improv, I would say. Like, we actually kind of excel in it, so we're not taking advantage of the improv side of our musicianship, to be honest. I don't think as much as we should be. So I definitely think going forwards to like advance ourselves as musicians and as a band, I think we'll be looking at that style of writing. But yeah, at the minute it's definitely very much George is like the creator of the vision, and then we all run with that, and it's worked really well. So I think we're all a little bit nervous to deviate from it, but I think it's something we've just got to do because we want to we want to explore that avenue.
Yeah, we've tried out a lot in like the practice room of just coming up with things on the spot, and like I'll reiterate what Anoki said, like we do it very well, I think. And yeah, there's a lot of things actually I still think about now that we sort of ran through in practice, like it just came up on the spot like months ago, and I wish we'd recorded them because I can't remember them now. And but yeah, it's nice to know, but it seems like every time we do that, it's always very spontaneous, never forced, and I just love that idea of creating music that way, because I think it's it's a very different atmosphere when you just sat at a laptop. Like the real story of this project is I was in a dead-end crappy job and I was living in a dump of a place and I was just like, I'm going to scribble away for a few weeks and just write music because I don't want to do anything else right now. So I wrote about 5 or 6 songs in about 4 or 5 weeks, and that's all I did. And it's a different... you can get it done, and obviously we have what we have now because I did that, but it's a very different vibe, different atmosphere, like just sitting at a laptop for 10 hours a day than it is when you can bounce off other people in the room and you can use that musical chemistry to your advantage. It feels very like inauthentic when I'm just sat looking at a screen and I'm like I'm scrutinizing every little decision over and over and over. Like it takes the authenticity out of it a bit, and I kind of want to just explore that off the cuff sort of candid type creativity, because I think something special can come out of that, and it's so much easier to sort of pick up on what's working well and what's not when there's 3 of you in a room. You can tell when you're enjoying it, and you can tell when it's like I'm not really feeling this idea. So I think the main focus for the next project after this is really trying to explore that avenue of songwriting. Is really like we've even talked about getting away for a few days, and just for the sole purpose of let's hang out, let's just create something, let's write, let's see what we can do. Do you know what I mean? I think that's the focus.
And I guess for you guys, like you said, like one of your strengths is your live performances. So I guess writing like that kind of would help you to sort of distill some of that live magic. And then also, again, the fact that the 3 of you have got those similar sets of influences. So it's kind of like, I think you'd find it easier than maybe if there was, 6 band members and they all had completely different influences and you're all trying to kind of create something on the fly then.
100%,
as opposed to, the 3 of you in a room.
100%, yeah, you've hit the nail on the head. I'm glad you said that actually, because we kind of spoke about that a little bit, didn't we? We all have such similar influences, and it's so apparent when we're in a room together. Why not use that to our advantage? Do you know what I mean? We always seem to just latch onto a wavelength together, and it seems so effortless. Do you know what I mean? So if you can make writing music effortless, and then you get good songs out of it, you're onto a winner, I think. Do you know what I mean? If writing can be effortless for you, then it's gold.
And how, we mentioned the live shows. Is there anything that you guys do that to kind of make those energetic and to build kind of a connection with the audience when you're playing, or is it just a case of you get up, you play your instrument, and almost forget that they're there? Like, how do you approach entertaining people?
I mean, you've both been in with the crowd, haven't you? Enjoying performances. So I think you've very much, part of the energy, building that energy, literally being in the crowd.
I don't really give people a chance to just stand still, to be honest. I kind of just, if I spot people not moving, I'm like, I'm coming after you. Because I could tell you're holding back, and I know you want to just sort of let loose a bit. Mate, as soon as our set starts and we go on stage, I'm like, that's it. Then switch has gone off. Real world doesn't exist. I've escaped. I'm gone. I feel like I'm most comfortable when I'm on stage with a guitar than I am in any other aspect of my life. And it's literally like a switch goes off in my head, and I'm just like, I just feel like I'm who I want to be. Do you know what I mean? I just feel comfortable, and my goal. I say this to these guys all the time. If we have any doubts about a show or someone's feeling a bit negative after a show, I'm like, our only job is to entertain the people in the audience. And just have them come away and feel like, yo, I enjoyed that. Do you know what I mean? That band made me enjoy my time there. Do you know what I mean? It was worth me spending my time there. And if we manage to do that, then that's our job done. So anything we can do to make that happen is, it's just what we do, man.
Yeah. I think that's a cool way to put it. Like, it's the one chance, barring actually making the music, to be a part of yourself that you can't be in everyday life. So I'm always going to try and take that into live performances and be able to do that. Because, like, I don't know, you say our only job's to entertain people, but like, there's obviously a part of us that needs that kind of release. So
yeah, definitely.
So I think if you can,
there's not many places I can smash the hell out of something with my hands and it not be a crime or an annoyance to someone.
Yeah, exactly.
So
true.
Yeah, I think being on stage making that sort of noise, it's definitely a release.
The stage is like a perfect cover, isn't it? For like, just act how you want, and no one questions it. No one says a thing. It's just like, if I acted like that, like in the shop, someone would be like, get security.
Got your headphones on, jamming out and just bouncing around.
But I think we just make the most of like, we're allowed to act like this, so I'm gonna I'm gonna take liberties here. Like, I'm gonna push it to its limits. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's just an escape for me, man. It's an escape.
Yeah. And we've kind of touched on this a little bit. This is the last question. It's sort of 2 in 1. What's next for you guys, and where can people follow you to stay up to date?
What's next is we should, I don't know the actual timelines, but we've just released a track called Menticide. That'll be on Spotify, but our name is Simbulis. It's Simbulis, Simbulis UK on Instagram. We're always active on that stuff. We're pretty on it with that, so definitely come give us a follow, give us a listen. We're always about. We've got another track. I don't know if we can announce it yet because I don't know the timelines, but we'll have another track real soon as well. But yeah, definitely check out Menticide. It'll be part of the EP we're dropping later this year.
Big thank you to Simbulis for joining me. You're listening to The Art Show on 106.6 FM Wickham Sound. I'm your host, Dane Cobain, and this is Nick Coleman with Streets Ahead.
Ahead, these streets I tread, I trudge instead. These streets I tread, best left unsaid, misread instead. This human head. No jobs misled, no fixed homestead. Thread, no loaf of bread, brain dead, drugged head. buried in a common grave. Lie
That's me, and that's you. Become one. Through all the changes, we grew as one. Become one, become one, become one. To become one. Well, it's me and it's you. Become one. As one, me and you.
That was Ms. Modigal and I by Andrew Hoger, and before that we had Streets Ahead by Nick Coleman. You're listening to The Art Show on 106.6 FM Wickham Sound. I'm your host, Dane Cobain, and it's time for us to head over to the Ilk Shed now to catch up with Twangling Jack Ford for this week's album review.
Joe Walsh solo and with the James Gang, 1969 to 1974. This is a very cheap compilation CD, and it was cheap enough for me to buy it just out of interest. I remembered Joe Walsh's song Rocky Mountain Way from when it came out. It is a big bluesy hard rocking boogie shuffle epic with thumping piano and voice box. It has Joe Walsh's signature high-pitched raspy voice, his harsh aggressive guitar lead and chord work and slide soloing. It has a big catchy melody. It used to get played on Nicky Horn's Your Mother Wouldn't Like It early evening rock show on Capital Radio, and on Alan Fluff Freeman's Saturday rock show on wonderful Radio 1. I also remember Life's Been Good to Me So Far, his amusing hard rock reggae-ish hit, but it is not on this CD that only goes up to 1974. I must have heard others of his songs because I remember he had a band called Barnstorm and a couple of interestingly titled albums, so I was surprised when he joined the Eagles, though the first Eagles release with Joe Walsh was Life in the Fast Lane, that does sound very Joe Walsh. I was surprised by the variety on this album. Much of it is his first band, the James Gang, which I thought was a standard early 70s hard blues rock band, like Grand Funk or Humble Pie. But there are tuneful tracks led by acoustic guitar, tracks with strings and tracks with multiple sections, one of which is Ravel's Bolero. I noticed one of the string lines must be the part sampled by Fatboy Slim for Right Here, Right Now. The James Gang on the 3 albums they made with Joe Walsh are probably more like The Who in their sell-out through to Who's Next phases, with just a touch of Dave Gilmour's spacey slide work from Floyd's Saucerful of Secrets era. I have a vague memory of the James Gang song Funk 49, which is indeed sort of funky for a hard rock band, and has a catchy call and response shouty chorus and a drum solo with cowbell. The other notable James Gang song is Walk Away, which is about as pop as early 70s hard rock ever got. The later James Gang songs are less hard rock and more tuneful, with big harmony backing vocals and a guest female singer. But always there is a lot of lead guitar solos, even on the one track that heavily features bluesy, jazzy, multi-tracked electric piano. I will definitely check out the full albums that Joe Walsh made with the James Gang, and his solo records. However, nothing I've heard on this CD has made me want to ever listen to Hotel California. Joe Walsh, 1969 to 1974.
Big thank you to Twangling Jack Ford for this week's album review. Thank you to Simbulis for being this week's guest. Thank you to everyone whose music I've shared, whose announcements I've shared. All appreciated. As I mentioned earlier, if you've got an announcement that you would like to share, or if you've got some MP3s, or you would just like to come on the show as a guest, reach out to me on dane.cobain@wickhamsound.org.uk. That's dane.cobain@wickhamsound.org.uk. You can also find us on Facebook. If you search for The Art Show on Wickham Sound, you should be able to find us. And we are repeated on Wickham Sound on Monday nights. We're on the Wickham Sound Listen Again, iTunes, Spotify, and wherever else you get your podcasts. Please do leave us a short review on your podcast platform of choice. So I'm going to leave you with one last tune, and this is Kimberley Grae with Papers. I'll catch you next week.
Started with an unwritten page. Now we're halfway through our book. Supposed to finish it together. You stole that from me, it would be never. Faded words, faded feelings, faded memories and faded beginnings. It's a blank space. It's a blank page. We look good on paper. Say a grand design. Every lie you saw me was hidden there between the lines. You're such a stranger. I drew up inside my mind. Couldn't see the dangers. I couldn't even read the signs. It's a blank page. I've carried so much love in my heart. Now it's faded, I can see where it started. We have to say goodbye. Please don't say try. We look good on paper, then I see a grand design. Every lie you saw me was hidden there between the lines. You were such a stranger, I drew up inside my mind. Couldn't see the dangers, I couldn't even read the signs. The
Pavans and galliards were, in the 16th and 17th century, often performed as a pair. The pavan, or pavan, was a slow dance, and the galliard was a much more up-tempo dance, very often danced by the younger members of the crowd. So we have a pavan by Louis Smolan in A minor. And now, a galliard by Anthony Holborn in A minor.